everyone. Check. Dom, go ahead and just finish mic checking real quick, and same with Nick.
I think I'm good. They heard me flaming already, right? So we should be fine.
They did. Nick, go ahead.
Yeah. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Are we good? We got yeps. I've been working all day. I just came back from the studio. Haven't had a chance to eat, so I'm eating now. So sorry, excuse me. I'll be eating throughout the stream.
Nice.
We good? Yep. 1, 2, 3. 3 a.m. gang. Where's 3 a.m.? What's that? Is that GMT? Are those our Euro friends with the Euro step over in London?
It'd be like, yeah. It would be CET -1 because CET right now is 4:30.
All right. Well, I want to clarify something. European friends, followers, experts, of course. Tip of the cap to you. We still love you. We appreciate you. This one's on me. I had some scheduling issues. We had so I'm launching our TV network. It's a video game 24-hour TV network called Ven.tv. It's going to have gaming. I'll have me, Chrissy Costanza, Mr. Dash Patterson, Sasha Grey. I know a lot of you know who Sasha Grey is. She'll be having her own talk show there. Sushi has signed up with us. Cash Nasty for all you that want to get fit and motivated. So we're launching this Wednesday, Ven.tv. Super excited, but it definitely took a whole lot of planning and effort. And so thanks to these two guys up here, your lords and saviors for lords and saviors. There we go. There's an LS to make this episode work. All right. Twitch chat's about to break right now. Lords and saviors.
All right.
But yeah. All right, guys. We did it. We made it here. Week 8, the penultimate week. And more happened this week than I think any other week. You figured that the playoff picture was going to clean up. Didn't quite. Before we get even to all that, I feel like we always check in with everyone's hosts. I talked about all the hosts. I talked about my week. Dom, how was your week this week? Please tell me what broke, because the last 3 to 4 weeks, something happens to you and there's fireworks everywhere. Twitter's upset. Reddit hates you. What happened this week? Nothing? Anything?
No, nothing really. I mean, I was thankful. I mean, I bribed LS. I was like, don't show up to the C9 TSM match on Sunday so I can just, maximize the viewership. So he was cool about that. So I got even props there. But no, I mean, it was good. I just live viewed a bunch of stuff. I actually started getting more into Korea and China to prepare myself for Worlds. So I watched, Dragon X vs. Damwon. I watched a bunch of Damwon games actually, and then looked at China, top esports. I mean, they've been looking a little bit more shaky. I watched top esports versus IG and just started to get acclimated to the rest of the world. So I'm prepared come Worlds for how hard we're gonna get shit on.
Is that how we feel already? There's no hope.
No.
For NA? Oh no, zero hope. Just kidding. There's hope. You got to keep on watching the show.
You got to keep on watching the show. There's hope. There's hope.
I think NA will actually get 3rd or 4th.
What? You think they're gonna make semis? Oh,
you jerk!
Nice one. Nice one.
Oh man, list scam right there.
Jesus Christ.
How was your week?
Yeah. I was doing fine. I cast LCK. I did the co-streams. LCK this week. I missed out on it last week, and I mean same, pretty much same as Dom. So that's it. I resumed solo queue this week. I played 100 Yone games. I've played 100 Yone games almost. Jesus.
What are your first thoughts?
Fun. He's really stiff, and his movements don't feel like how he should be. And so I wonder if Riot will change anything, but I don't think that they will, because they made the statement that when champions get released, they'll be around that power level.
What does that mean, stiff?
So he's supposed to be an assassin, but he's not an assassin. His movements all lock him up. All of his movements have lag. So he gets very clunky. And he lost a lot of his interrupts. The only thing that they still give him is that he can make his spells come out faster by flashing. So if you W as the animation's starting and you flash, it comes out about 50% faster. I think same goes for Q. But yeah, he doesn't feel fluid. Do either of you play Smash?
Yeah.
I played enough.
He's like Ganon.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
He's
Ganon.
Ganon.
He's
He's
clunky.
literally
He's Bowser.
Ganon. Yeah.
Just clunky.
Yeah. He's Ganon. Yeah.
That fucking sucks.
That's how he is. Yeah.
Nice.
So no viability in pro play until some quality of life changes. It's not in buffs,
Number-based.
right?
Dude, I've heard murmurs that he might not be allowed at Worlds, which is insane to me, by the way. Because Lilia just came out too. So like, what the hell's the reasoning? There's like
It's
2
always-
months until Worlds.
Yeah, I feel like he should be allowed at Worlds. I mean, Lilia's like already allowed in LPL. Like we saw Lilia games. I don't understand how anyone's playing Lilia though. Like I feel like that champion is just dog shit. Like numbers wise, how are you supposed to jungle when you literally look at every other jungler and you're like, oh well, if they ever come anywhere near me, I'm fucking dead. Set, Volibear, Olaf, like Kha'Zix, everything that people are playing now. If you look at that shit, you're dead. So, like, I don't know why it's being played in LPL. I really doubt that we're gonna see it in like NA or EU. It just doesn't seem strong to me.
In Korea, there's some people that are playing her with like high success in solo queue, but I don't know. I've heard the same thing that you've said from many people, and I've also heard the opposite. I've heard like she's broken, and that
Why?
you know.
Do they say why she's broken?
You can't stay on top of her, and her damage is too strong.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm
You know?
gonna play Kha'Zix into the next Lilia I see. I want to see how they complain about. They're just kiting me too hard. I guess I just can't stay on them. You don't need to kite a champion when you fucking kill them in a third of a second. It's like, it is what it is.
Well, yeah. So yeah, Yone should be enabled for Worlds. He really should. I am 100% of that take.
What?
So
How confident are you that of these murmurs, these rumors that you've heard?
I'm pretty confident, which makes me really sad. And the murmur, none of the murmurs are coming from like Riot.
Sure.
Obviously,
Sure.
I'm not privy to the info. No, right. I'm part of LCK too, but it's not like I know anything. So this is all just coming from like players. Now we all know that players get like information in advance, right? Like that's just the thing. But that would be very sad because there's 2 months to prepare, but also this champion is clearly not like like you can just look at him on PBE. You can just really freaking look at him. But there's also 2 months before Worlds goes live. So you can hotfix him if necessary or something like I don't get it. Yeah. It's just weird.
I would trust the player's word. I mean, players told me about Worlds before this split even started that like it was going to be Worlds in China with the bubble system. Like I heard all the information they just released before the split even started because Riot communicates to the teams like what the most likely plan is.
Yeah.
So
did we talk about this last week? Did we talk about Worlds happening last week? I don't remember if we did.
I don't think it happened this week, didn't it?
I think it happened this week. Yeah, it happened this week.
So to me, it feels. I guess it's good, right? And Riot trusts their system and it's going to work. But like, we have professional sports here where it's mixed results. MLS and NBA have the bubble. It seems like it's working. Games are going on fine. Major League Baseball are doing regional play and staying nearby each other, not a bubble. And their issue is what I think any team or any league might have, which is when a team gets COVID or someone gets COVID, they don't report it right away. They don't know right away. And then it's kind of up to them to be like, hey, we still want to play this game. We're not going to be near them. And you could possibly give it to somebody else that are playing in that same space. Like that's what happened in Major League Baseball. One of the teams found out they had COVID. They made the decision to play the game against the other team anyways. And then it came out that they got COVID. And then that other team had to go play the New York Yankees. It was the Phillies had to play the Yankees. And the Phillies are like, well, do we have it now or not? We don't know. And it feels like garbage that happened. So I still feel like it's a little risky. Don't you guys think?
Yeah, no one watches baseball, so you don't even know like if it actually transpired. Like it's crazy. So that's where you're really worried there. But I just say that's the most American thing I've ever heard. From it's like the Phillies versus the Yankees and gave each other COVID and like they didn't tell the other team. Like that just sounds like how all of America is right now.
It does actually.
I love it.
You're not worried about it, LS?
So Korea's kind of like let me actually check something. I'm gonna check worldometers. Korea's Korea has like stuff in place, but the culture and like the people all respect everything, right? So like Korea is Korea. All right, so Korea had 34 cases. Korea had 34 cases yesterday, and the day before that they had. Where are they? What? Wait, what? It doesn't show from yesterday. What? I don't know.
How many did you say? 34?
Oh, they had 34 yesterday and 23 new cases the day before. So Korea is sort of like a utopia. That's how I've described it to so many people. Like everything still exists, it still functions. The only thing that is obviously scary is like taking the metro, which I freak out about because I have to transfer 3 times and it's a 2-hour commute to Riot every time. So I'm always like paranoid when I'm going to work, and it stresses me the fuck out.
How many cases did you say? Like 45?
No, they got 34 yesterday and 23 the day before that. Yeah.
Oh, we got 47,000 cases yesterday. Yeah, actually.
Is it 47,000?
47,000 cases yesterday. Yes, new cases, which is actually lower than before. I mean, we were at 68,000 about a week ago. So yeah, really good from the U.S. You know, knocked it down by 20K.
Number 1, baby.
Yep. USA rank 1. Like we've been literally look at these leaderboards. We are taking over the leaderboards. Like that's all I gotta say.
Trending upwards, just like NA's international hopes, because TES looks terrible or whatever.
Yeah. Sure.
God.
All right. Well, world's still going on even through the pandemic. I think it's good. Also, it will be returning to China next year in 2021.
Yeah.
Which I think I understand what's happening, but damn, I definitely thought they couldn't do that in terms of reserving the locations. Like a lot of the time they're like, yeah, you got to plan like a year or 2 in advance if you want to play, you know, in the Staples Center, if you want to play over in the Bird's Nest. Like you got to plan that out, and it feels like Chinese government and Tencent did that backdoor deal, dog. You trying to come to Worlds? You trying to get everyone to spend money here? All right, we'll hook it up for 2021.
Yep. Crazy. I mean, I don't know what's happening. I feel like it's weird that we're just having it like we're having it in China so much, and then even when they have it in Europe, like all the times are all for China. Like it feels kind of like, I don't know, like ostracizing or something to like Western fans, the timings that they do for Worlds all the time.
When it's in China.
Like they'll have, well, even when it was in Europe, right? They're doing like 11 a.m. games, like, you know, 12 p.m. games on like a Monday or a Tuesday. Where it's like, how are you supposed to watch that if you have a job? You know?
They know where their bread is buttered, man. It's not here.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, they care about the Chinese viewership the most.
I mean, it's kept the game alive this long, and again, 10 years of league esports, starting from Freak's basement to now back to China. So it has been quite the accomplishment, and they have a track record of getting it done. So we'll see. And as I guess more players speak out, that'll be interesting as they talk about their feelings about traveling.
Yeah, the other thing is that in Korea, it's on television here when Worlds happens. So the viewership is insane there too, I assume. So I think it makes the most sense for Riot to do it like that, and I think they'll benefit from it twice. And I think that like for everyone else, I think that's actually like sort of good news, but I'm not, I don't know.
Yeah. It's good news if you like care about the game, but if you're just like selfish and you're like, I want to fucking watch this shit, well, it's bad news for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other big news outside of the LCS before we hop on into the week that was week 8? I don't think there was.
I'm good. I'm ready.
I don't.
All right, here we go. So, week 8 in the books. Only 2 games left for every team, but still so much left up. No one has been eliminated. Somehow, Dignitas and Immortals can still catch CLG because CLG have not won a game in 6 matches. That's 3 weeks. It feels like forever. Dom called it when I asked, hey, do you think they're going to be able to hold off on their playoff push? They look good. We hyped up that TSM CLG match, and then they forgot how to play since then. 6 straight losses, and now on the verge of
they never knew how to play.
They did. Yeah, they were 4-2.
That doesn't mean they knew how to play. Look, I said it last week. I'll say it again. what happens is that if you lose to CLG, you literally lose your job in LCS. Like, if you lose to them, you are getting replaced. Like, somebody on your team gets fired. Look at all the teams they beat. Look what happened. The last team that they beat was EG. Jizuke was like a fucking star in spring. Everyone loved Jizuke in spring. He was like MVP candidate. He won MVP in week 1. He was like the king of the world. They lost. It's like, all right, you're losing your job, and we're fucking bringing Kumo out too. Fuck these guys. Like, you cannot lose to CLG. Look at 100 Thieves, Meteos, and Stunt. Look at the whole Immortals team. They canned the whole Immortals team when they fucking lost. Like, literally the whole team got benched. Like, if you lose to CLG, you get benched. That's what happens. You lose your job. So
I'm trying to think. I don't know if there's a world where CLG loses the final 2 but still make the playoffs. I think they don't have the tiebreakers with Dig and Immortals. Well, they guess they'll tie with Immortals, but I don't think they have with.
No. They the standings right now, they're ahead of both Immortals and Dig with 1 win, right?
Right, but if they lose out and everyone is like, say they're like 5-13, who's the one that goes through? Because that's
if like Immortals or Dig get a win.
Yeah, like the foldy sheet, the LCS foldy sheet that has all the answers on it. Like, they haven't made that yet. Stats team, where are you at, stats team?
I mean,
Dig goes against 100 Thieves and Cloud9, so that, I guess that's scary.
No, that's free. Cloud9 loses every game now. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll dive into the metrics later on playoffs.
Okay.
All right.
Immortals is screwed too. Yeah.
But
all right.
Dom hitting the main point I think of this week. 0-2 for Cloud9. Thoughts on their matches, especially the one against TSM, where TSM looked good. They made TSM look good.
Yeah. I don't know. You want to go first, LS?
Take it away. Take it away.
Oh, man. C9 versus TSM. I don't know. It just looks so weird to me. And it makes me sad as an NA fan because that was like the only hope we had, right?
Yep.
Like, that was literally the only hope we had when it comes to a team that we were confident as North Americans to send to Worlds. The whole narrative for the last 75% of the year was that, C9, like, they're a team where you can't even judge how good they are because they're so much better than everyone else in our region. And you don't want to, like, say that they're bad just because they're from NA because they didn't look like a North American team. Now it doesn't look like, I'd be okay if all of NA looked like it improved. And I was like, damn, everyone's just good now, and Cloud9 is struggling as a result. They leveled up the competition.
People tweeted that. I think it was Fion. Fion was like, wow, it looks like NA looks good.
Yes, and those people are delusional. It's okay to be delusional, but if we live here in reality, you can see that they are just making mistakes that they weren't making before. Like, their idea of when they choose fights in games just seems like it's completely lost.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, that's my take.
I mean, the thing that I watch, or like my perspective, because I speed rod reviewed it after because I missed it live. Thanks, Dom, for the PayPal. And basically, I mean, I thought Cloud9 doesn't look like. So I think if you go into like a lot of their losses, whenever they're even or behind, they look very lost. And they were in for the longest time just not ever really behind. They were always winning. They were always ahead. They were always in comfortable positions. Everything was always fine. And it's very easy to play when you're constantly in an advantageous position. It's very easy to play from ahead. But like what Dom's saying, like there was the Sonalux thing. They were constantly fighting without ultimates. They had lost to Shopkeeper and whatnot. That we even actually got like criticized. I don't know if you dealt with the Flame, but I like dealt with the Flame. It's like people couldn't use like critical thinking on like some stuff. I'm not even referring to the dive. I'm talking about like the public that was like very inflammatory.
Wait, the dive was against our take or something? I didn't. This is news to me.
The dive was against the itemization, saying that Ezreal deals like 70 to 80%, which is, I mean, that's not wrong, but his damage was also heavily inflated because of the way that game went. And then they referenced Trundle dealing so much physical damage in that game. But the way that Trundle works is Cinderhulk doesn't deal a lot early, and Subjugate doesn't deal a lot until it starts getting points in it. So early in the game, if Trundle's constantly fighting and autoing someone and hitting them because that game was fucking a mess, yes, Trundle's physical damage is going to be inflated. But the longer that the game goes, Subjugate starts dealing more damage and Cinderhulk starts dealing more damage. So he becomes, because armor values keep going up, and when armor values keep going up and the fucking champion's not getting AD, his damage decreases physical and he becomes magic damage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just think I hate those ideas where you're just using stats to determine your point, because like the game can be played in multiple different ways, right? Like let's say you're playing like Karma into Kassadin, right? Like the game that that Niski played, and he started a call and he's like autoing the Kassadin. You could look at that game and be like, wow, you know, like maybe Kassadin isn't that good into Karma because Karma does such an absurd amount of physical damage, and it's like he's just auto attacking him in the fucking lane phase. Like that doesn't actually change like the fact.
Yeah.
So that whole take, it's like if Trundle is hitting people, yes, the Ezreal will do more physical damage than magic damage, but overall the comp is still majority magic. The overall damage of the comp, like if you just look at the abilities and like the itemization, like when you have things like Cinder Hulk, etc., they do more magic damage than physical damage. So you need to itemize MR. Like,
Yes. I can understand them getting upset because I think you and I both said 5 AP when we should have just said like 4.5 AP or something. You know what I mean? To be like more.
Look, if you're reading
semantic,
my tweet,
sort of, right?
And if you don't know what I mean, like by that, like okay, so there's one thing. You can just be cynical and then know what I mean. Like obviously, I don't mean 5 AP. Like I'm not delusional. And I'm like, yeah, no, Ezreal actually does full magic damage. By the way, guys, like you know what I'm talking about. I'm saying
yes.
I'm saying majority magic damage when I'm talking about like a team comp.
The other reason I was more like leaning on Ezreal's magic is because the way that those two team comps are gonna end up fighting, right? You look at Cloud9's and they're gonna be clumping up, and when they're clumping up, your True Shot Barrage is dealing a lot of damage because you're gonna get multi-man True Shot Barrages. Like that should be the tendency for the team comp. So you're getting a lot more damage amp than a normal traditional Ezreal would because of the nature of the two comps clashing. And it's like I just don't know, man. Like
and Cloud9 doesn't even care about like that. Like, you know, Cloud9 will just be grouping and just healing and shielding a lot of the stuff off. So so in a team comp where like Ezreal's gonna be shooting off Qs and people are gonna be more willing to like take the Qs instead of dodge the Qs because they have heals and shields, that's not like impactful damage. Like when I'm talking about damage, I'm talking about like when a fight breaks out, what is actually going to happen in the fight and how, and like where's the damage going to come from. If people are purposefully walking into Ezreal Qs because they know that they have, you know, a heal coming in from Sona, that doesn't affect like or even the heal from Lux from the Athenes that she built, like that doesn't really affect like my perception of who's doing the damage in the game. Like all these types of stats need context to be provided, so that's why I hate when people just like
I hate stats, dude.
That's really cool.
I hate stats.
I've never thought of it that way before, Dom. Like it's less about the overall number that was put out and more about, hey, when we get into a fight, what is the percentage that's being dealt in that fight on average? Yeah, and that's probably the best way to do it.
It's like these stats that people use, like jungle proximity, right? And it's like you can be you can be sitting around a lane and doing nothing. That doesn't mean you're a good fucking jungler. You can't be like, oh, dude, Dom was level 1 for the entire game, but he had 100% jungle proximity. Like he literally just sat mid lane the entire game. It's like, what? That's not good.
The other fucking thing is, what is the matchups? Like, is there a reason the jungler's there more often, or is there a reason they're not there? Do you know, like, why does total context not matter? It doesn't make any sense. If you have a Gangplank, he never needs his jungler, so he can always just be on an island. So if you have a person that's constantly playing Gangplank, his jungle proximity is going to be way lower than someone who is playing champions that need jungle setup. Or they need ganks, or they need attention. Like, why does the context never matter? The only time I ever like stats is when you have a player that is apparently like always first in every fucking stat and metric. Do you know what I mean?
Like Larson and LEC, where it's
so that's a testament. Like, you can't just end up like that across so many different games. But like, that's the only time I'm like, okay, well, like it's really hard to argue context here when you have it in 10 different stats, you know, like that you're first or something.
Right, like, sure. Let's reel it in. How did we get back? How did we get on this stats topic with the dive? LS?
We were talking about C9.
Yeah, we were talking about C9. LS, go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So I mean, Cloud9 TSM. Cloud9 consistently fought really bad team fights. There was even one where they actually stole the dragon and they should have just disengaged. But then they turned around and accepted the fight, even though TSM's team composition, if they ever get to kite backwards, it's so much better than Cloud9's. If Cloud9 has to come into them, TSM's just flourish in a team fight. And then the other thing that was like happening in that game is once they started losing their footing, it felt like they had no clue what to do at that point, and they just kept taking these high variance team fights. And we saw it in the Cloud9 TL game. They're not fighting around like proper timings. They're not engaging on things. I mean, they were losing to Shopkeeper in that game. They just look a little bit lost. And the worrying thing for NA now, though, is that, okay, so you had a team that was only dominating and winning when they were, like, winning across the board. And if they start getting resistance and, like, losing, they just completely fall apart. So what does that mean for Worlds? Well, it means disaster. Because, of course, you're going to be even or losing versus most of the world teams.
Well, to push back a little bit, and just again for context, and this was the narrative that was pushed out by the broadcast. It was, hey, it was actually winning past 20. Before 20 minutes, there were deficits. They found ways to wiggle their way back on up, and then at 20 minutes have like that one decisive fight, one TP play that then snowballed the game from there. So what do you have to say about that? At least they did have some resilience there.
I would probably want to see the context between, like, what are we defining as losing? Because if you have a way bigger scaling team comp and you're only down 2,000 gold at 20 minutes, you're probably ahead. Do you know what I mean? Like, so this is like where stats don't really tell you the whole story. So like, what games are we referencing where they truly come back, where their comp doesn't just take over at, 19, 20 minutes or 21 minutes or something like that,
That's fair.
What happened? Chat spamming Windows.
Yeah, I had a couple of updates just.
Okay.
I was opening Photoshop, and it's still.
Oh, Dom, welcome. Dom, welcome to the Death Realm, dude.
Yeah, well, I mean, after Riot took away co-streaming from me, I can't afford my light bill anymore. So this is what we're at, boys. Like, it's gonna be the last face check.
It's just monitors, and monitor light, and that's it. Oh my god, dude.
Hold on, let me light a fire real quick. Hold on.
Fucking looking like Snape over here.
Good. That gives me time to go ahead and get your power rankings real quick. Give me one
Campfire's
second.
lit, boys.
Campfire's lit. He's safe. Hold on, everyone. Show's still coming. Give me a second.
Oh, Prestige Edition. All right.
And one more.
He turned on his light.
And then. All right. His light's good. We're back. Wham. We're talking Cloud9. All right. So we talked a little bit about what they look like now. And compared to what they looked like then, do we feel like we have a fix? Because it does feel like it's kind of sloppy play and not being able to catch up from behind. Is this fixable just through practice? Is this draft? How do we feel?
I say reel in the fucking draft. Like, they got a little too crazy there. They were like, all right, we're so much better than everyone. Senna Wukong, Sona Lux. Like, they're playing a different team comp. They're like, all right, let's try out Niski on control mids and stuff like that. If their goal is to win NA right now, I would just want to see them drafting like the way they were before, where they just had priority on certain champions that they look good on. I know that Niski had a relatively bad Zoe game for his standards against Golden Guardians, but like I just want to see them doing more things like blind picking Zoe so that they get good counter picks later in the draft for like support or something like that, or giving themselves like safer top laners that are draftable in the first 3. It feels like they're like just going into this mindset of always drafting solo laners as counter picks, which can work, but for them, I felt like one of their advantages was that they had a bunch of picks that they could pull out when it comes to like jungle. And like I feel like Blabber's a really big piece of this team when he's playing confidently, when he's playing well, they get these massive leads. So I just want to see them playing around that more, like Orin picks in the first 3, Zoe picks in the first 3. Like I don't want to see the skill matches of like Kennen versus Aurelia, like stuff like that. It's not even really a skill matchup. I mean, it's stonewallable by Kennen, but Aurelia is just good in that lane.
If Aurelia gets ahead, you can't recover. Yeah,
it's doomed. I didn't even I don't know what how you think about that game, but for me, I thought that BB could have went like a wit's end there and just been super unkillable. He was against Volibear, Kennen, and
yeah. I said wit's end in the VOD review. Wit's end would have been really good.
I think wit's end, wit's end Merc Treads is like, all right, I'm fucking unkillable now. So yeah. But yeah, I guess it's just I think that they just need to essentially just reel back in all their crazy picks and just go back to like drafting like C9 again.
All right.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
So fixing the draft, going back to regular stuff, no more weird Wukong, Sona stuff. It feels weird. It feels weird that if anytime a team plays with like a switch, they're like, hey, all right, we know that was the draft. We're kind of dicking around with it. And we kind of feel bad that we messed up the draft and we're being forced to play it. Guys heading to Twitter like, yeah, we kind of suck right now. My bad. We'll fix it later. I promise. You heard that from Blabber and from Niski. anytime there's a switch, it always feels weird. But some teams are good enough to use the switch, click it on, and then just dumpster a region. So we'll see if Cloud9 is able to do that. With their losses, though, this week, 0-2 means we got ourselves a messy-ass playoff picture. So Molina whipped this one up and put all the teams on there. Some teams are on there multiple times because there's multiple positions they could finish. In first place, you got 3 teams vying for the position in TL, Cloud9, and TSM. In second place, whoever doesn't get first, so that's Cloud9, TSM, FlyQuest, and Golden Guardians also have an opportunity to bump on up as high as second place. In sixth place, that final playoff spot that has the winner's bracket side of it is EG, 100 Thieves, and CLG. And then we got all the bottom feeders there in 8th place with 100 Thieves, CLG, Dignitas, and Immortals. 2 will make it, 2 won't. So let's start at the top here. Team Liquid, they took care of business. They're on a 4-game, 5-game winning streak right now. Looking good. 2-game lead over TSM and Cloud9. They're good, right, guys? They're going to be our number 1 seed and have like side choice throughout.
I mean, I think that they probably end up with the number 1 seed. I don't know how you feel about it. I just don't see like a team, catching them right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay, so
I mean, there's whatchamacallit. Wait, let me. You have it up on screen, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Who does TL even play?
They play TSM though. They play TSM on third game. Yeah, third game on Sunday.
What about the other game?
The other game is Immortals, so that's,
or something?
That's a freebie. Yeah, that's a freebie. That's a freebie.
Yeah, I mean, so they're pretty much guaranteed top 2, I feel like.
Yeah, so only TSM can pass them, right?
Well, C9 could if they go 0-2 and C9 goes 2-0, right? Because C9 is 11-5 and
yeah.
Wait, TSM is 12-4, right?
No,
wait,
they're 13. They're 13-3 or whatever the number is.
13-3.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
I think they're 2 games above both teams.
All right. Okay. Well, I mean, then if the teams go 2-0, then they can get a tiebreak with them because C9 won a game versus TL and lost a game versus TL. So yeah, I mean, teams could force tiebreaks, so technically TL could drop, but I mean, they're pretty safe. They win Immortal. Yeah. They beat Immortals in their first. Like.
Yeah, that's all they have to do. So okay, yeah. All right. So I imagine Liquid would be first, and then I imagine who's Cloud9's games? They have CLG. Right?
Holy shit! Yeah.
They have CLG.
Wait, and don't they have Immortals as
Dig.
Well?
Dig and
Dig.
CLG.
Okay. Holy shit! Dig and CLG for C9.
All right. So maybe TSM gets third.
Yeah.
All
second.
right.
What the hell?
Well.
You don't think CLG has any chance? You don't think your boy Ruin's just gonna crank it out, get the Camille or something?
Dude, I have no idea. Listen, I am, like
I will say
this is just how it is.
We've got LS on the ropes here.
Yeah, I know.
Really have
and we still have our CLG segment to come. Like, this is gonna
be great.
I mean, what?
Go ahead.
The one thing I wanted to talk about here is just how ridiculous is it that 2 teams out of 100 Thieves, Dig, CLG, and Immortals, 2 of those teams get into playoffs. 2. All those teams should get playoffs.
It's looking like CLG will, right?
Yeah.
But they have a game up. Yeah, they have a game up. Yeah, they're gonna be saved.
Wow, that is literally the freest playoff win of all time. Imagine you play CLG in a round of playoffs. Like, holy shit, they've literally won. They probably aren't gonna win a game. I mean, like, yeah.
Who would CLG play?
You're literally gonna get a team.
How would it work? I think CLG would play either Golden Guardians or EG if Golden Guardians and EG lose to TSM to FlyQuest. Just saying that if the rankings held true right now.
Yeah,
that seems like a stop.
Chilling.
Yeah, that seems like a stop.
You would literally play against a team that's won like 1 game out of their last 11. Like, how are they going to win a best of 3? They can't win. They can't win 3 games in a full split versus this competition. Like, after these rosters changed, if we just went from right now, the rosters that are playing right now, ran it back another 18 games, I don't think CLG is getting 3 wins. I think they might get 2. That's how bad I think the team is. Like, it's really rough.
Yeah, they're on pace. If they drop the next 2 games, they're on pace to winning 1 game in the back half of the split.
Yeah. It's really rough. Not a good look.
All right. We're gonna lose LS.
Yeah, we're gonna lose LS. All right. One thing to note. So the thing I wanted to note with this new playoff format is it does make interesting battles throughout all positions. Right? We're not just talking about hey, who's on first, who gets the bye anymore, and who's at the cutoff. There is that who gets the buys, who gets the winners bracket start, and who gets the losers bracket start. So I think there is a little bit more conversation here, which is cool. And I didn't foresee this when we first heard, hey, spring means nothing, summer means everything. Now that we're here, do we feel like this is a worthy product now for figuring out who goes to Worlds? Or do we feel like there probably should have been some like spring, leftovers for those teams that made playoffs and got championship points?
I think personally, swap it up and give this format to EU, and let's get the EU format over here. We don't have enough good teams to make for an 8-team playoff.
Yeah, I don't. I know you tweeted about it, and someone just replied to you like some explanation, right? And you just replied again, but why? And like, there's not.
Mateus,
so,
sorry, Mateus.
But so I don't know what is the reason for 8. Like, I literally think it's sponsors, right? Like sponsors complaining or something. I don't know about exposure. I have no idea.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't even thought about that. Like, but.
It's the only angle I can think of.
When it comes to last position making it in and having an impact on the tournament, there was one year where TSM qualified 6th and then they won. Right? I think that was a double lift year. They won the championship as the final qualifier back in 2015, 16. I think that was one of the Immortals years. So there is something to be said about underdogs qualifying.
One of the things I hate, by the way, because we saw it happen in LEC though, is I hate the fucking format that League of Legends has, where what was it, right? LEC. I wrote about this on Twitter. Like Fnatic won winners bracket and then meets in grand finals, right? Mm-hmm. And they only lose once and then they're out, whereas other teams were allowed to lose twice. I think that's such a flawed format. Like I like Smash Brothers Melee, where if you beat the winners bracket, it forces the grand final. Yeah, run it back. Yeah. That's so much better. Or you start like a best of 5 and the winner bracket team has a game up or something. Like there should be something. The nonsense that is like you have to play one less best of 5. Shut the fuck up. What the fuck? That's not an argument, man. Come on, please.
Well, honestly, I think it even goes the other way, where it's almost like good that you get that extra best of 5 for the like they have momentum because they're like warmed up, like they're ready to fucking go. So like I actually think it's like a detriment. It's like I would rather play the game, like get my confidence up, beat the shit 3rd place team, and go into finals like feeling myself.
Oh god, it's so sick. It's so sick.
Thanks to Twitch chat, it was TSM ran it back against CLG and finished 2nd place. They lost to CLG, so that was the 6th place impact there. And I to speak to that from a logistical standpoint, to try and book out a major venue for a possible 3rd day, that sounds insanely logistically expensive and difficult to do. So you would have to run possibly 2 best of 5s that same day. That's how you would have to book it off, and then
I'm gonna fucking boomer this shit up right here. Back in my day, when I was competing at the top of NA, 2012, MLG had motherfuckers playing 15 games in one day. We had to play this best of 3 against the same team 3 times, losers bracket, beat them again, or they beat us, and then we had to beat them again to get into finals. All right, so I had to fucking go through that shit. These guys need to as well. We need conditioning. We need endurance. We need everything to be fucking tested. So, yeah. Nah, it was a struggle back then. Like, you didn't even want... Why do you think we fucking A-rammed the finals of an MLG? Why do you think we were A-ramming out there? Because we were protesting because we had to play so many goddamn games. I want to see the young players deal with that shit. They play 18 games a split. We played 18 games in a weekend.
Yeah.
That was you against Curse back in the MLG, right?
Yep. So. We fucking ran it. We ran it on stage, straight down mid. That's the olden days.
Well, times have changed, boomer. Like, you can't just... It's expensive. Players have clauses in contracts that they need to be fed. They need breaks. They need their nails clipped. There we go. See, you almost got me in trouble there.
Yep. Hey, look, look at what we were getting paid back then, and look what these guys are getting paid. They can play 2 best of 5s in a day.
That's fair.
They can.
That's fair. That's fair.
Motherfuckers are out here making $1.2 million a year. They can play 2 best of 5s in a game. They can play 28 games in a half a season. You know, they can do that in a split.
Yeah. All right.
I would still rather be the team that has to play the extra best of 5 though. I would rather be warmed up.
Because you're rolling. Yeah.
Yeah. I would rather just be coming off the momentum. Yeah, of course.
I wonder if logistics weren't an issue, if the decision would be made to do that, right? It's like, hey, let us run it back. I don't see any reason why teams wouldn't want to be in that position unless they know, hey, we're like a 6th place, a 5th place kind of team, and we only get the fairy tale shot. We can only beat them once anyways. That's the only reason, right? If logistics were taken out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. Hopefully, maybe we'll get to see some changes in the future of the format. Again, this is the first time we're doing the format this way in North America for the LCS, where spring is for funsies. Congrats, Cloud9. You got a new banner, the first time in 4 years. But now things are looking dire, and that whole first split might not go for anything if you don't figure out what the heck you're doing in FlyQuest, or, God forbid, Golden Guardians takes your spot. Okay. So that's playoff positioning, but we need to dive a little bit deeper, as Ellis has already started, into the teams that are slumping. What's going on? We already talked Cloud9. We saw them metering back down to earth. Great job, Melina, on the photos. And here's another one. They're keeping tabs. CLG have not won in 6 matches. That's almost how long it has been since we switched hosts. That's the last time that they won. EG now, 3 in a row. The Swole Bros looking not as swole. They're kind of slowing down.
It is literally Ellis's fault. It is literally Ellis's fault. Like, ever since he joined, they didn't win a game.
Literally
like,
slumping, dude.
They need to just get Loco. That's it. That's their.
Hey.
There it is.
Hey.
There it is.
Holy shit.
We know a guy.
That's a throwback.
We know a guy.
Yeah.
Right? I will always say this. Coach Loco was one of the most professional things I've ever seen in my life. Like, lockdown, on a schedule, super focused, not distracted by distractions, and we stayed away from Koreatown. It was really good. So maybe CLG can use a little bit of that right now. 6 straight losses, issues all over the place, right? Where do we fix it? How do we fix it? We'll go to Dom first before we get the apologetic route here.
Yeah, you don't. I like, honestly, we've already talked about CLG. I don't even care about this team anymore. Like, they suck. Like, I'd rather talk about EG than CLG. Like, I feel like this team is just they're just doomed.
Sorry, CLG fans. I tried. Go ahead. Talk about EG.
Ellis, you got anything to say for CLG, or can we just go for EG right here?
CLG needs a total overhaul, right? Like that's the only way that it probably changes in its current iteration, you know. So, I mean, that's what I imagine. I mean, they're losing, they're drafting bad, they can't lane. This is the biggest thing that I'm like attacking, like on the coach streams. They can't lane. You literally, like, whenever the camera pans to any of their laners, you're always wondering, how did we get here? It's like a fucking unsolved mystery.
It's like one of those choose your own adventure storybook.
Yeah. I'm laying in bed. I'm watching Unsolved on Netflix. Fucking episode 6. Episode 6. Episode 6 is just a highlight reel of like CLG lane state.
God, I'm sorry, CLG. CLG fans.
I mean, the other thing is, it's like the lane states, but then also like the lane states just don't make any sense with their junglers. You know, like the jungle pathing is always like, it's like, okay, so like I can understand you like being here if you were like trying to like force a push to like create like a dive window or something, but it's never like it makes any sense around their jungle. So like I don't know if it's just bad pathing from the jungler, or like the people just can't lane, so he can't ever be at like he can't ever hit good timings. Like it's just all over the place.
No, but sometimes they have setups and then they get cold feet. Do you know what I mean? Like it looks like they're gonna go and then they don't go. Like that's happened a few times. It's really bad, man. It's really bad. But if you can't lane, and you guys like don't understand laning and like lane manipulation relative to jungler, etc., you just expand that into other stages of the game, and it gives you a real glimpse of like what's going on. And then combine that with their drafts, and it looks like they just want their champions in isolation, regardless of how it stacks up against the opponent's team or how synergistic it is with their own. It's I don't know.
It's so weird because when I watch them play, like you watch other teams that are kind of bad, but like CLG plays like they don't like each other. Like they're like all just doing their own thing. Like they don't want, no one wants to sacrifice. No one wants to be the person that like, you know, looks bad. They just want to exist and then be like, okay, we got another loss and we're fine with it. At least when you watch a team like Immortals, right? It feels like they're bad. Like the players are definitely not good. I mean, I don't know if you saw that at Lorem lane phase versus Someday in the 100 Thieves game. Oh my God, the Scion lane phase versus GP where somehow his wave was pushing against him and he had 3 CS. So the wave is pushing away from him. He has 3 CS and he's like 50% HP or like under 50% HP and he lost his flash where it's like, that's a real unsolved mystery right there. But like you can see the team at least try to work together. It's like, okay, we're trying to like help him out, push out his lane and stuff like that. CLG is just like every man for himself. That's how it looks to me. It's every man for himself.
And I think harmony is really understated, like in LoL esports right now, especially because when you're a team, even if you're all bad, you still put up fights in weird ways. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot more resistance. We see that in EU, we see it in LCK, we see it in, I mean, probably even LCS, right? Like the teams that might have more companionship or something together. But like when everyone's coworkers, it's obvious. And when they're coworkers, but they're all elite level players, I mean, it's also obvious because there's some big teams that are struggling right now globally, and it's very apparent in their play that they all have different ideas.
That's funny.
Is this a Dragon X angle?
No. It's it's a Fnatic angle. So you know.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
You know?
I thought I was like, oh, we're going with CLG friendship. It's no longer there. And there are those. Look, so I think there are those in chat, and I've been DM'd before. It's like, hey, LS is protecting CLG or whatever. You guys should go into CLG a little harder. I think we've said enough that we can while the season's still in play, right? CLG still do hold a playoff spot in this format. Would it have been a playoff spot before? No, but...
Should it be a playoff spot? No.
Should it be a playoff spot? Up for debate. But the changes that I think are going to be necessary for this team to find its way won't happen during the split. It's going to happen after the split, and we'll have the conversation then. If they find the answers with this roster, it's going to complicate things, but it's a conversation for later. That's why, you know, we're just kind of breaking down the action as LS is like, hey, this looks like there's no laning phase. It looks like you don't know how to play with jungle pressure, and then it snowballs into other areas of the game. That's what we can do for now. Do we want to see other things? Sure, but there's no reason to speculate for it yet. So we'll get to that if CLG continue to add a couple more tally marks here on that losing streak board. But let's move over to the other side. EG, a team that has playoffs already locked in, definitely the losers bracket. I think still has potential to be the winners bracket. Yeah, still has potential to be the winners bracket bottom seed, the 6th seed, fighting with 100 Thieves, and those two teams will play each other in the final week to kind of break it down, and they have a game in hand. They made the big move to go with Golden Glue and Hooney in the top lane, have Bang be their hard carry, Svenskeren kind of finding a rhythm here. And I will admit, I sipped the Kool-Aid. Dom calmed me down. He said, hey, man, Grayson, great dude. No one outworks him, but he always does this throughout his career. Has games where he looks fantastic and then has games where he looks like he not great, right? And not even like terrible, but just not great, not worthy of that spot. And over the last couple games, you could say, hey, the maybe the ceiling of Jizuki is better than the floor of Golden Glue, right? And maybe it's worth possibly going back and looking at another change. Guys, 3 in a row, possibly losing your spot in the winners bracket. What do you think EG does here?
I mean, I don't think they're going to make any changes, right? I think it's probably, like, they might actually think that, like, Hooney being on the team is, like, somehow an upside. And, you know, I mean, if you read his tweets after the games, I think he's not even aware of how bad he's playing. So, I mean, there's that. But
tell me how you really feel. Holy shit, dude.
I think, you know, I mean, I think I think Golden Glue's actually, I mean, for me, has been somewhat surprising. Like, I mean, he's serviceable in mid. And I think that, like, the upside that you can get from Huni is bigger than Kumo. And I think when you have a serviceable mid, we don't know what the comms are like, right? So we don't know, like, what does this dynamic actually do? Maybe it's just, it's better to have this layout. I think that in some of the games that they've been losing, obviously they've been donking off. They've been doing things that don't make any sense. I think one of their drafts was terrible. But I mean, they beat Cloud9. They beat Immortals with this roster. But I mean, yeah, like the context is important.
That's literally it, and that's the part that I hate about it is like they beat Cloud9 before people realized that Cloud9 was just not playing that well. Like people, people were like, "Damn, like this is the second loss that Cloud9's had." Like, you know, Cloud9 was 9-0 in the first half, and then this is like their second loss in the back half, where I think they were 10-1 at the time where they beat them, and that gave this roster so much more like time than they should have got in LCS. I feel,
yeah, because.
Like it's not actually like a great team. It's not a functioning team. I don't even think it's better than the team they had before. I mean, what are they? They're something like 2-5 recently, or like since the roster change. Maybe they're like 3-5. Whatever it is, it's a losing record, and they just get a bunch of credit for beating Cloud9 when Cloud9 doesn't even look that good right now. This doesn't look like, you know, Cloud9. This looks like just a new team. This looks like Cloud9 Academy or some shit. So, for me, I just don't agree with the fact that like these players got all this credit, and I don't even think like I'm gonna just defend my boy Kumo here because I thought he was playing like better this split for sure. yeah, no, I think he's been playing. I thought he was playing a lot better this split than he did last split. I felt like he was a serviceable middle of the pack top laner, and I don't see the upside of Huni. Like the fucking game versus TSM, I was so mad. We're gonna talk about it in Lost Shopkeeper. Imagine you're playing Kennen, right? You have a Graves, Senna, Ashe on your team, and you're versus a Malphite as Kennen. And those are your champions, right? So you have 3 AD carries, and you're a Kennen, and you go Gunblade into the Malphite. Like, what the fuck? I can't even, like, I mean...
I got it. We're just going to look at it now. We have to look at it now.
Look, Broken Blade's a nice guy, right? He doesn't want Huni to lose his job, so he didn't build a Bramble Vest or anything like that. Like, he didn't really try to, like, fuck him up on it. But this Gunblade, it's like... What the fuck is this Gunblade in this game? Like, how is this the game for Gunblade into Malphite? Like, I hated this build. I absolutely hated it. And I see, like, things like this from him all the time. Like, I hated the Death Stance that we talked about last week, or not building the Death Stance on Camille when he went Warhammer and a Vampiric Scepter. Warhammer, Vampiric Scepter, he's on, like, 1,500 gold. He's like, well, I could go, like, pickaxe into Ravenous Hydra, or I can just go Death Stance. And he picks the Ravenous Hydra. Like, I don't know, man. Like, this guy is triggering me so hard.
Well, I like the Morello. You like the Morello or what?
Wait, what?
Do you like it? There's literally no reason to have it, like whatsoever. There's none.
Yeah. No, it's crazy.
Jesus.
All right. Do they? This is just tough, right? Because they. Again, like CLG, have earned their spot through the first half and now are starting to slump a little bit. And, you know, I guess they've also put themselves in this position of having decisions to make now with Kumo and with Jizuke and with Golden Glue, with options, right? They gave themselves options and now they got to decide, do we go with what got us here? Or do we go with the upside? And if Huni's not bringing the upside, then it kind of feels... not worth to have Grayson there, unless Grayson and Kumo's the play. Like that could be something.
Honestly, I would rather like at least that team seems stable.
Oh, they've never even tried that, right? Or well, not that we know of.
Well, yeah, LS, you got to use that import slot. You got 2 insane imports. Right. You got Jizuke Kumo or Jizuke Huni. Which one are you gonna let play? You can't have Kumo playing.
Ruin.
What?
Because that's why CLG keeps using him instead of using Deus.
The interesting thing is whatchamacallit. So I'm of the school of thought that mid laners are more adaptable than anything else, right? So I think there's 2 iterations of the team that they haven't tried, which is Kumo in top or move one of the mids to top. We've seen that in LCK. Chovy went top in some of the games.
That's also Chovy.
That is true. That is true.
So,
that is true. Yes.
I don't know. I feel like that would take more time. I feel like that would be like something that they could experiment on, that's like an off-season type thing to me.
Yeah, that's true.
If
But
one
those are the
were
only two options, right?
yeah, chat and all of you viewers watching this on VODs, if one were to switch lanes, who would you rather have go to the top lane? Would you rather have Jizuke or Golden Glue go to the top lane? Sorry, Kumo, you're not in this conversation.
Way rather have Golden Glue. Because like right now the meta has like a bunch of tanks, and I feel like Golden Glue can figure out how to like play a tank and not die. It's like you can play Orin, you can play Malphite, you can play Scion, you can get like a bunch of like different things every game. And then I feel like Jizuke, you're just gonna get like Huni 2.0, but probably weaker because he doesn't actually play lane.
Yeah.
It looks split. I mean, people in chat are maybe it's a little bit more Golden Glue now, but it does look like some people are saying Jizuke, and I can see what they're thinking. It's like, hey, look, he's the more dominant player. Maybe you can get something out of that lane and have stable play in the mid lane. But
yeah, but think about it like this: like Jizuke looks really like crazy, and he dies a lot playing champions that he's comfortable on. Now imagine if he just has to adapt a completely different champion pool to topside, and then he's still like that same type of player that's trying to like, eke out every tiny advantage. Like it just seems so volatile.
Right.
So I'm
right.
not down with it.
Well, EG needs to find a way here. Bang and Zazel doing their thing, but 3 losses in a row in a losing grip of that, I guess, winner's bracket spot where they would most likely face either TSM, Cloud9, or FlyQuest. It's going to be a tough game there for EG, but they're capable of it. This is last season's 3rd place squad, right? Because it was FlyQuest, then EG, then 100 Thieves, then TSM? Is that how it worked? Wow. Can't believe
No, it was TSM. It was TSM, then 100 Thieves. Well, like for the playoffs, it was TSM before 100 Thieves.
Okay.
Yep.
So we'll see if EG can and CLG stop the slide here. Next up, everyone's new favorite GIF. Thank you, Melina. It is losing to Shopkeeper. Slap LS's face right on top of his name. What's his name? I forgot.
Boris.
Boris.
Yeah,
there
Boris.
it is.
Yeah.
Boris Shadow 9 right there for you guys. So, again, another several examples of taking L's because they don't know how to spend their money. And we've got your best financial advisors here with Dom and LS to break it down. Let's take a look at the Dignitas game. We're going to look at Dignitas Immortals here. Let's see. Let me switch.
This is the worst one of all time.
So
this is the most. This is the most egregious one of all time. This is the Phoenix one. The Banshees. Morellas
dude. He
on
can't
LeBlanc.
build.
Yeah, no, that was really crazy. That's probably the worst build we've seen in LCS this entire year. Straight up. I can't imagine one that's even close to as bad.
He has a Banshee's Veil when Corki can just pop it with an R or Ashe can pop it with a volley. And then he goes fucking Morello. What healing, dude? Holy shit. I don't... Oh, God.
No. What you don't understand here, LS, is...
Oh.
The Corki has Legend Bloodline in this game.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what needs to be cut down there. Also, the healings from the Knight's Vow.
Fleet Foot.
All right.
You don't want any of that. And I mean, that's without even discussing Trundle's passive in this game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. True.
Yeah. But
dude, there was a Reddit comment one time. I would never be able to find it. It had like 100 upvotes or something once upon a time, and there was someone that actually argued that or against me that Morello was justifiable because some of the champions had Triumph. And I'm like, yeah. You should really account for the person killing you so that you can reduce their healing. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I want to show all of our viewers like exactly the moment that both of you guys texted the same thing like minutes apart, like a minute apart. Both of you guys took a screenshot of the scoreboard, one right after the other, and just sent it to each other in our chat. There we go. Okay, so cool. We got that one. So I can zoom in on it now. So there it is. Same time they sent me the same Gazo clip, and
it was like within 20 seconds. I told my chat when this happened. I'm like, oh, by the way, like LS is on this shit too. Like this is just horrible to watch.
It's awful, man. It's really awful. I mean, also you have the Black Cleaver on set too, and the same team. You have the Black Cleaver on set. I was going on that in the game. I was playing a mini game on if you needed to complete it over Trinity Force. I just don't even know. I have no idea what the hell goes on in these players' heads.
Yeah,
I wish I knew.
I mean, this game was also, I just thought it was like just bad drafting in general from Dignitas here. Like I just didn't like the Dignitas draft at all. Like It just didn't make sense to me that much. Like the Lux support was super weird. I feel like Lux support with Kate into Thresh Ashe. Like I don't even like that's her counter pick, but I don't even know if that like lane wins. Like it's just a weird lane. I think a lot of the Kate lanes were super strange. Like both times the TSM drafted Kate, they drafted Kate in a losing lane. And is Kate actually just that OP now where you don't even need to win lane with it anymore? It just doesn't seem like it's correct. So yeah, I don't know.
She's been good for a while. It's just like, it's one of those things where people aren't aware of it. I remember when this happened with Karma. Remember when Riot, they buffed her and then they undid the buffs, but then she was still like broken?
Yep.
That was, you know, I mean, Kate's really good and she just hasn't been appreciated. But like, people got to understand that also there's a lot of indirect buffs to her. The nerfs to Senna, Aphelios, Ezreal over time, right? The nerf to Varus is another one because Varus is good against her. These are all helping her. So like whenever champions keep getting nerfed at the top of the ladder, then suddenly, like in mid lane, right? Like let's say that Corki and Zoe and Azir keep getting nerfed. You're going to see Victor come back. It's just like it's how it's gonna happen because Victor's kit is so good, but his damage sucks ass. So that's the only reason that he's being gated right now is he's very heavy and his damage sucks. But when everyone else's damage sucks, Victor comes back. Same thing with Orianna. Same thing with Lee Sin. Whenever Lee Sin gets pushed out of the meta. Same thing with Karma. Yeah, it's just how it is. Same thing with Thresh.
Yeah, we see it a lot with Sejuani in the jungle too. Like even though it does receive like some buffs here and there, the buffs don't actually do as much as people think. Yeah, like they're kind of negligible buffs, but then just people start playing it and they're like, oh wait, like this champion is just still pretty reliable, has synergy with the same champions. Like we saw it in LCK this week. People are like, oh, Braum Sejuani is still a thing. People are playing Camille, well, Sejuani Camille is still a thing. Like all those champions just have good synergy. So, yeah, we see it all the time. And then one of them that you see a lot in the jungle, not in this season, but we saw it in a lot of previous seasons, is Skarner. Skarner would get 0 buffs and then would just come back into the meta when jungle would suck. Because it's like, regardless of how bad the role is, Skarner's ult still forces QSSs, which is like, if your role sucks, like forcing the whole enemy team to start buying like 1,300 gold items and stuff is, yeah, it's valuable. So
there's value there. Yeah. The tax, it's pretty good. I will never justify that tax for Mordekaiser though. All right, I'm just fucking throwing that out there. You can just fucking kill him in the Death Realm. Yeah, you can just do that instead. Like, holy
I guess
shit.
it depends on the champion.
Yeah.
All right, so we had the bad draft by Dig, but here we go, an even worse draft by Immortals in the other game. We wanted to check that one out as well. This is Immortals against 100 Thieves, where Dom, you wanted to pull this one up as well.
Yeah, I hated this. This was like the weirdest draft I've seen from a team, and it just for me this just shows that Immortals just doesn't have like a champion pool really when it comes to top lane. So saving your top lane pick is just horrible if you're Immortals. Like you just need to like, because if you're counter pick, like the enemy player plays the GP here, right? And you already have Set on your team. You could send the Set top. You could counter pick Set with like Jace and like, I mean, I know these aren't like hard counters, but at least they're something. But if you're always gonna pick a tank top, like no matter what, your options are tank top and Urgot. If that's all you've got, like, yeah, that guy needs to be early picking on your team. Like, you need to save the counter pick for somebody else. Even, like, support counter for Apollo. Even like, a jungle counter for Xmithie. Something. Don't pick Zoe in first rotation, because it seems like Insanity has a pretty wide champion pool, right? Like, he's pulled out the COG. I think he's played, like, 7 or 8 different champions in, like, the 10 games he's played or 11 games he's played, something like that. If you have players like that actually are willing to pull out other things, you don't need to get me R5ing Sion into this team. This is not necessary. So,
yeah, I mean, yeah, the draft doesn't make sense to me. You're counter picking Sion himself. Like the only option here is pivot Set top lane because Set beats Gangplank in lane. It's one of the few champions that actually like does reliably, and then you pick a new jungler. And at that point, I mean, I don't even know what you pick in the jungle because I mean, I don't want to see Xmithie pilot on Italy. Like honestly, like Jesus.
This game right here, this looks like a Karthus game to me.
Yeah, I mean, Karthus isn't bad here, but with Zoe, Zoe harms it. You give more incentive. Like, Syndra will go Banshees. Syndra gets value. There's incentive for Mercury Treads. There's a Tom Kench, which invalidates it. Gangplank can, like, reliably build in a way that goes against Karthus. I think Karthus sets up another champion that you could do here if you have Set in top and Zoe in mid, even though Zoe also self counterpicked herself, so I don't know what the fuck's going on. But you could do Fiddlesticks, I guess.
Yep.
This comp is very weak out of 100 Thieves to Fiddlesticks.
Yeah, except I mean, there's certain issues like the Tahm Kench can be annoying. The GP obviously is direct, but this can be a fiddle game provided your laners can actually lane, because it's really dependent on your laners actually being able to like keep even lane state so you can actually play the game. If you're getting perma invaded and the enemies have pressure here, you're just fucked. But I mean, you theoretically should. I mean, if people are answering Caitlyn with Jhin super early, which we've seen in a couple different regions, and it's looked okay. Like when Fnatic did it, it looked okay in the lane phase. I mean, part of that was just because, you know, G2 trolled the lane. But regardless, if that's a reasonable answer and you can 50-50 it, Fiddle can work. You just can't let your Fiddle get stomped because he has no ways to actually like fight or like, you know, like.
Yeah, he needs time to come online, right? So you need self-sufficient laners. But they got bailed out because of the fucking Tom pick, and Set beats GP in lane. I mean, they're picking Zoe because they know that probably Zoe loses to Syndra, but it's Ryoma, so that's why they picked Zoe. That's why they you know, they slid that in there.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, yeah, you don't need the Zoe though. You don't need to first round the Zoe. I mean, like there's a bunch of things that are still up, right? Like you still have Azir, you still have TF up in this draft, you still have Galio. Like you can pivot to a lot of different things. So, yeah, I guess it's just a Ryoma gap though.
Sorry, Ryoma.
Well, he did somewhat okay in this game, but yeah, it's fine.
So I wanted to close this LS segment, this losing shopkeeper segment, looking back on the thing that we took a peek at earlier as we talked about Huni in the top lane building the Gunblade early. Anything else that sticks out of you to this Boris match here?
This exact game that we were watching before, that should have been a Leandri's third on GP. It's so good in that team comp.
Yeah.
He ended up going Lord Dominic's regard third. And like when we watch GP and EU, they build Leandri's third almost every single game. And that game, it was so good because you only like you have so much AD on your team already, right? You have like the Caitlyn, you have the Graves, and that's like that's just it sets up the perfect Leandri's third on GP. And he ended up going, I think, Lord Doms into I think he was building an IE when the game ended, which is fine, but I think Leandri's has so much value in that game specifically because the team's itemized almost no MR. So
check your PayPal, check it. You know, like no. The other thing
I'm on board with it.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Malphite here shouldn't have adaptive helm. He should have a Bramble Vest and even a Thornmail because they have Senna, Ashe, and Graves. And because Kennen went Gunblade, you even get value out of Thornmail against Kennen. So it's not even like there's downside there. The adaptive helm is trolling. And then one of the other things I've been pushing for like a while, but not as vocally as like Triforce Black Cleaver argument or Leandro Morello argument, is Solari on junglers as second item. So like after you get Dead Mans, you have Cinderhulk, you have all the bonus HP. If you're a champion like Volibear, you can ult and then even use it post ult. But Solari, it's I call them epic items, or it's not even epic, it's like rare because it's so cheap, right? So like, you know, WoW has like orange, purple, blue, green. I think like items in LoL can be categorized like that too. So Solari is so cheap, and the active that you get from it is going to give you more HP than almost any other HP item that you're getting, but you get the resistances too. But it's not just the active for yourself, it's like the active for your teammates. And the fact that it's so cheap, it's like so good at suffocating the opponents inside of the game because it just invalidates some of their engage. So like champions like Volibear, Set, etc., they can do Solari second, and then they can do like Redemption third. So you get two rare items because they're not even epic because they're both so cheap. Epic would be like, you know, 2,600 to 3,000. Legendary would be like Trinity Force and super
anything
expensive
items.
High Edge. Yeah. Like 31s. Death Cap would be another legendary orange item. But these are blue items, so they're rare. But you can get them so cheap and efficiently, and even their recipe components are effective. Like they're good, right? The CDR and stuff. So we saw Spica do it, and I actually tweeted that he did it because I've been mauling about it on my co-streams for like weeks, and like we saw him do it, and the active's just insane. The HP is just nuts.
Yep. Yeah, and then I think here, this game, what you said for Broken Blade here on Malphite, I think the same thing applies to Spica, where like I don't know what he's building there. Like I hope to fucking god that didn't become a War Mugs. I think the game ended before it became a War Mugs, but when you see this on the enemy team, like this has to be a Bramble Vest. Bramble Vest is so OP. Like part of the reason why I feel like Santorin is such a good jungler is he's so smart about his itemization. You know, like he'll walk into games like this and he'll pick up Bramble Vest and a Cal, right? Like he'll build smaller components that will give him so much effective tankiness against pretty much anything that hits him. But in a game like this, you're against 380 carries, right? And then the Bork, like Ash already has a Bork, and the Graves is gonna have a Death Stance, and you get the value from the Kennen. Like this has to be a Bramble Vest. It's so much better than that HP that he's gaining right now from Kindle Gem and the Ruby Crystal. Like that's 1200. You can just put it into a Bramble Vest. It's so good.
All right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, again, more
Tabbies as well, pretty good.
Why do players fall into this trap, guys? Like just to put a button on the R segment here. Why do they constantly not think about this?
I think it's because of like the feel of the individual items. Like right when you get a Morello, it doesn't feel horrible, right? It's like once you like factor in everything, you start realizing that it's not the most valuable. But these items, like because of like the pen that you get from the Oblivion Orb and stuff like that, I feel like it's just like a feel thing where people just do it without thinking because it feels correct in the moment.
There was a really good. I'm gonna try to find it. Yeah, I'm gonna link it in the Discord. This was a good Reddit thread. It didn't get a lot of traction. This guy's obviously not like a scientist or anything like that, but it goes into a concept that you can find talked about in like documentaries and like talks and stuff like that. Magical versus scientific thinking. Most pro players rely on magical thinking in order to reach their conclusions. And when someone who they either don't respect or they're indifferent to comes along and says something that goes against their feeling of like what is good, even when presented like I like to think that people are reasonable. I've encountered in the last few weeks that they're apparently not, and you have to like literally maul in order to get them to do stuff. But the amount of like flat earth logic that is present in like conversations and arguments is just fucking insane, man. I think the reason they build as bad as they do is because interestingly enough, there's job positions on pro teams that are supposed to be doing this, and yet apparently here we fucking are, and here I am campaigning against items, right? So then that's one of the first red flags, right? What are they doing? But then the second one is like, I like to think that people are reasonable enough that when shown like logically and practically that an item is better, it would just make sense to them. You know what I mean? It shouldn't take so long, but I don't know why they really do it. It's really weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's just like they don't go the extra step. Like once something feels correct or like it feels good, like I actually fell into the Morellos versus Leandre's thing on Karthus when I was in EU. Like this was like a year ago or more than that, like a year and a half ago.
You have to justify it for you, LS.
Well, it's just because like when you're playing a champion that's like really good and like you build any type of item and you have a lead and you're decent at the champion, like it's hard to believe that there's something better than it in a way.
Yes,
like
yes.
Like you hit level 11 on Karthus, right? You have Morellos and your Runic Echoes completed. You press R, it feels fucking great. But then when you factor in like the Leandre's burn and everything, and you start getting into games where you're not as far ahead and things like that, and you start testing things around, that's like when you start like opening your eyes to the other possibilities. So I think that mainly when it comes to like these types of players, you just have to convince them to like try it once, and then they'll understand it like so much better instantly. They'll be like, okay, so that's how that feels. So now I can place like when I should be going with each one, like which one feels correct for each situation.
Yeah. I think it's no surprise Europe. Like, so obviously we both do coach streams, right? But I talk to European players for like the last 7-8 months so fucking much, right? I think it's no surprise Leandre showed up in Europe first. Actually, last year it showed up. It was Larson and Nemesis doing Leandre's, right? I think like the Nashor's Tooth on Azir was another good one that changed. Leandre's on GP, Leandre's on Ezreal. Like these are things that initially got scoffed at, but Europe was like the first one with all the players to go out and start doing it. Out of all the fucking regions, by the way. Like Europe just seems the most open-minded, and I've talked about this in like past videos and talk shows that I've done, that in my experience, so like I've been in esports going on 15 years. Europe was always like that out of all the regions. Europe is always the most like open-minded. I'll try it at the very least. And then, If it doesn't work once, it doesn't mean I'm going to give up right away. I'll try it like again to really understand it, and then they'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just like the way that EU culture is. Like when I was a pro player, there was like a couple picks that I brought out that, you know, like I would get once and then I just never got it again. And instantly I would have European players like in my DMs. Like one of the main ones that I remember was Pantheon Jungle.
Yes.
So I played like a fuck ton of Pantheon Jungle in season 4, and like instantly I have like Svenskeren talking to me. In season 5 I had Rainover talking to me. It's like, okay, so why do you think this pick is good? What is it good into? Like, what's the value? Where do you like place your, like, they're so willing to like adapt anything that looks like it could be strong from any other player. And it doesn't matter if they think EU is better than an A. It doesn't matter if like they see you in solo queue or some shit. I mean, the build that they're running right now on Sion came from the boss FFS with the Titanic Hydra. Like that's an adaptation that people didn't really appreciate before. It was full tank Sion. So I think that it's like not only just limited to itemization, it's also just champion picks and everything like that. Like, I mean, I've had players that haven't pulled it out that talked to me about Fiddlesticks when I was playing a fuck ton of it recently. Like, I don't know, they just care about that type of stuff.
I remember when Malice first went to Europe, right? And everyone got on the Eve hype train. Even though we haven't seen her in competitive, at least that happened. Like, everyone got on the Eve train for a short while. Like, Europe's just, like, open to shit. In NA, you know, if they like a champion, they're forcing it, man. You want to, like, you know, like the one tricks, they're out in force.
And then I also think that it's like people are willing to take hits way more in Europe. Like in NA, it feels like no one wants to play potentially like a bad matchup or something like that. Like they always want to have like control. Whereas in Europe, I see like so many more people are willing to like, you know, pick early or like, you know, like pick a champion that is stable. How many times in Europe do we just see Orianna first rotation? Red side. We see it almost every fucking game because they know there's like actually like almost no counters to it, and you could probably get away with anything.
The counters that do exist, players can't play. No one's playing Vel'Koz. No one's playing Xerath. Like no one's playing Ziggs. Like no one's playing these champions. They're too hard, and no one's gonna put the time in.
Yeah. So I mean, people are just willing to do that type of stuff over there. So I mean, I've always respected that. Also, we've seen it just with new champions. As soon as they come out, they're normally played in LPL and Europe before anywhere else. So.
I'm not saying that no North American players do that, but we have seen a trend that it is happening overseas more often and historically through Dom's experience that it doesn't happen here as much. All right.
Usually the NA players that do it are actually the European imports. Look at Bjergsen.
That's true.
You know, like Zillion and other stuff. Like,
Well, Slick, speaking of Bjergsen, because of his performances, I think this week, all of a sudden, debate raged on by pundits and Twitter and Reddit. Because it's MVP time. It always happens. Voting comes out. Who gets the award? And so we slapped on some faces that we think might deserve it. Bjerg, Core, Blabber, and Niski, maybe before this week, maybe 2 weeks ago, were definitely front runners. Now, you kind of wonder where this could possibly go. Maybe you could throw in a Jensen in this conversation as well, who's been having a pretty good split with Team Liquid. Guys, who's your front runner for MVP? Also, just a quick note, this is the only damn photo of the MVP trophy without someone picking it up. I asked my friends at Riot, hey, can you get me a photo of like MVP? The only one that's in circulation right now is from 2015.
Really?
I can't find one. There's nothing. Anytime there's an MVP like announcement, your Honda MVP, it's like Svenskeren in a goddamn car. It's not like him accepting the trophy or just the trophy itself. So like every announcement has been like no trophy. Here's like another thing because we don't know how to make a trophy look pretty. So sorry for the 2015 spring split. MVP trophy. Who did that go to? Was that
spring split? It was Bjergsen.
All right. Well then,
I played in that split. I remember that shit.
God, how did you remember that right off the dome, dude? That's impressive.
Because Bjergsen was the GOAT when I was playing. He was literally just so much better than everyone else. So crazy. He was insane. But yeah, I mean, to go on this MVP vote, I think that it's Core JJ or you're trolling. Like, I don't even think that there's like other options, honestly. I think Core JJ has been so good, so consistently. And when you look at like TL, who's making the plays for them every time? Like, he's always doing everything on that team. Plays super, super well. He's playing with a rookie AD. I mean, the rookie AD looks good, but
looks good.
I don't know. I feel like he's been like, you think about any of the games, right? Like, oh, the C9 game. Oh, how many Blitzcrank cooks did he fucking hit? They were crucial in that game. To win that game. I think he's just too good. So I'm going Core JJ for sure.
Yeah, I would go Core JJ for the same reason. I would have Bjergsen second. But yeah.
Mhm.
I think Bjergsen's super integral to TSM, and like his willingness to just play so many different approaches, but also just how much of a difference maker he makes in games is huge. But yeah, well, I mean, everything you said about Core JJ is just on point. I feel like it's not to like take away from Blabber or like Niski in this discussion, but Cloud9 feels more of like harmony of all the players rather than like super standout performances individually, despite like maybe the team being on fire around them at certain points or like getting the ball rolling consistently.
I just don't like that answer. Like, I know that's a real thing, and I know that's an answer, but like, I just don't like that answer. Right? It takes individual performances to get that ball rolling, and I think at times
closer would be a big argument. You could easily make closer an argument.
Yeah, definitely.
I think
it's most valuable.
Okay, if we're going valuable, then yeah, sure.
People always make this like this argument of like who is the best. It's
outstanding.
Who's
it's
the best?
Valuable. It's valuable.
Yeah. MVP is not who's the best player. It's the most valuable to their team. That's what valuable means. So when you look at a team like TL, you try to imagine them without Core JJ. You look at Golden Guardians, you imagine them without Closer. You look at TSM and you try to imagine them without Bjergsen. Like that's what you're trying to judge there is like who derives the most value. So I would say that like even without Niski, even without Blabber, like that C9 would still be a strong team.
I'm gonna pivot. I'm actually just gonna say Closer because I don't think Golden Guardians does a lot without him. I think you remove him and everything falls apart. To be completely honest, I think he is probably the most integral player to the. You know what I mean? But he's also like best or second best jungler in the entire league right now. I think we would agree on that. I think most people would if you have eyes. So yeah, I think Closer should actually probably be a candidate for MVP. Yeah, actually.
Yep.
If we're gonna view it from that angle, yeah.
I'm completely okay with Closer. I would just say that like for me, I mean, part of the reason why I have Core JJ so high is because his team was literally like a bottom tier fucking team, and it doesn't look like anyone else is making those plays. On the team, like sure, Jensen will have like pop off games or he'll like get things rolling, but like I feel like Core JJ couldn't do more. And when I look at Closer, like at least he's had bad games that stand out to me where I'm like, oh, like there was the Volibear game that was like really suspect. He had I think a couple suspect Volibear games. There has been games like there was a game with Nidalee that he played. There was one where he played really well against Brox and they lost, and then he had another one where they lost where he like had some ins. So like I can see more mistakes where it's like Core JJ, I just remember a bunch of like fucking highlight plays, insane Bartolds, great hooks, like yeah, he just seems so good to me. Like I don't know, I can't imagine Core JJ playing better.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay. And then in EU it's Larson, and yeah, we could just do that one really quick. So get that one out of there.
Quick facts: Bjergsen MVP of 2015. Who was the
Summer Split MVP?
No.
Rush.
God, I forgot about that. No, who was the outstanding rookie of the split of 2015?
2015?
Yeah, because that was your split.
Was it Santorin?
Oh, God, dude. Can't stump the man. It was Santorin, and it was the last time that there were more than like 3 rookies on there. You had, I'm going to go through it real quick. It's a lot. Avalon, Azingi, Cloud Nguyen, Flares, Imagine, Conquan, Paragon, Rux, Shorter Race, What the Haven. I didn't even know that guy played. Gamsu.
Welcome to Heaven. Welcome to Heaven.
Oh, Welcome to Heaven. That's what it is. Welcome to Heaven. Gamsu, Cali Trolls, Dodo, Porpoise, Lushi, Core JJ. That was the first time he was available for it over at Dignitas. Rush, Phoenix, Keith, Adrian, Keen, and Hanser. Man, those were the gold.
Are we at a cemetery or what? Like, you're reading off the tombstone?
Holy fuck.
And
Jesus Christ.
That was a really cool trip down memory lane, and I felt like it was too good to pass up. Holy shit.
Oh my god.
I got a question for you, Digon. Who is MVP of week 1 of LCS 2015?
Is that what we're clinging on to? I don't know. Let's take a look. Guy, you actually had this player had the fourth highest KDA that week throughout the whole season, and played Nunu. You were a Nunu player
I smurfed
week.
that goddamn Nunu game.
It was Nunu Jarvan.
That goddamn Nunu game.
You had a.
Hey, I had to do that with Keith McBrief as my AD carry. That's why they gave me MVP. They saw me win 2 games with Keith McBrief. Boom, MVP. That's how that shit works.
Team Liquid's IWillDominate with a 13.67 KDA, the first and last MVP of weekly MVP. Was that your first and last? Was that your first MVP? Maybe that was the first time they did that. Weekly MVP.
Yeah, I think that was when they started it. They used to do player of the week in every role. That's what they used to do in the previous season, which I got a decent amount of times. I think it's season 4. But
sure.
Season 5, it was like MVP of the week, and then they did like that was the first time they did actually like all pro, like first team all pro, second team all pro, whatever. I was super salty that I got second team all pro and Rush got first, because I was like, what the fuck, man? I got a winning record versus him. You know, I felt good in those games, but he got MVP, so he's got to get first team. You know, that's how it works.
All right, taking a look. Yeah, sorry, chat, we don't see your boy here in summer 2014. Were you on Curse at that time, or were you?
Yep.
Yeah,
Curse.
so that was Curse with Special getting an MVP and the boy Wonder getting the MVP as well at one point. Cool. Also, last trivia bit, because we always got to hit it. 2015 spring split. Bjergsen's your MVP. Santorin is your outstanding rookie of the year. That means who's your coach of the year?
Loco Doco.
One Yinsub Choi, Loco Doco. His first of 2, right? Did he win Coach of the Year on Team Liquid? Did he do that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe.
That'd be a cool fact. Like, hey, he's the only coach to win it for 2 different organizations. All right. So MVP chat in the book. Let us know who you think MVP should be. Should Closer be in the conversation? Seems like yes. Are these 2 guys crazy? And no, we don't mean T1 Closer. Please stop spamming that. Okay, last but not least in this week's Face Check, we're going to the tier lists. So I had to build this on the fly, so I did not get to put my LS baby buffers, you know, the bumpers that you put on when bowling so that no one gets really upset about what tier they're in. So I just put them in order. I just put them in order that you put it in to me, and then you can tell where the buffers are, and I'll try to fix it on the fly, LS.
All right.
We have, let's see, 1, 2. We have 2 positions out of the 10 that are all the same. Would you like to take a guess at the first one? Actually, no, we already know the first one. Ryoma's the bottom. All right, everyone knows that Ryoma's the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we know where the second one is that we all agree on?
The top 2?
No, I'd say Power of Evil 4th.
That's correct.
Oh,
it's
that
Power
might
of
be it.
Evil
That
4th.
might-
We all
okay.
have Power of Evil 4th. All right, y'all.
Bro,
Here we go.
you got me fucking jacked on the trivia right now.
Yeah,
fucking
dude,
ready.
what are you? You're like 3 for 3. Oh shit. Well, I'll work on it later. Okay, here's our mid lane summer split tier list for season 10. Bjergsen, Jensen, Niski, Power of Evil 4th for everybody. Pobelter, Demonte, Phoenix, Golden Glue, Insanity, and Ryoma for LS. Bjergsen was the number 1 there for him. Niski, Bjergsen, Jensen for me. Power of Evil 4th. Demonte, Pobe, Golden Glue at 7. Insanity, Phoenix, and Ryoma. Did I get the wrong one? Did I not update yours?
I put Bjergsen over Niski.
That's my bad. That's my bad. You did send that to me. Okay, so then we are closer there.
So it's
with
Bjergsen 2.
Bjergsen 2, Niski 3. So, and you guys probably have more.
Oh, so me and Dom are pretty close.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys have more up to date, especially based off of the last several games. Like for me, I was like, I'm definitely one of those guys when we look at power rankings of good players, if not great players, I give them way more leeway before it shifts for me, right? So like for me, Cloud9's fine until they're not fine, and all of a sudden they're playing in the 3rd place final match to qualify for Worlds. Otherwise, they're going to be fine. They'll be able to turn on. Niski is an integral part of that. So, Nick, go ahead and kick things off here with your list, because I know I missed the baby bumpers.
So, I mean, I had Bjergsen at the top. I mean, the baby bumper thing was I had Jensen and Niski in the same tier, and I wish ProView was more apparent, because the reason I can't rate Niski as high is because of the way that he plays. is very team centric. It doesn't have to do with like just mid lane prowess and like individual ability. Cloud9 feels like very, very harmonious, and the way that he goes about things involves teammates a lot. Whereas I feel like Jensen and Bjergsen, they're much more on their own islands in a lot of instances. And I feel like Bjergsen stands out more than Jensen in that regard. And I'm also going off of like history on ProView because I know that we don't have it because of Corona right now. So that's the reason that my top 3 is the way that it is. The middle of the pack is obviously like a nightmare, as it normally is, but the bottom is I think it's pretty standard. I put Golden Glue above Insanity because I watched Insanity have a monstrously free lane and have absolutely no idea how the fuck to play it, and I'm obviously referring to Karthus. I don't care what his stat line was that game. His performance was like D grade in that game. It was atrocious.
I'm surprised you have Phoenix so high.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
He builds terrible, and I know he like ints, but I can't accept that he's worse than the people below him.
Yeah.
Like as a player, I don't know. It's
it is like it's just that some of the games just look so weird. Like that TF game that he played actually scarred me. The first game he played where he just like TP'd straight into the Olaf. Like that.
Oh
that game,
Jesus. Okay. Yeah.
It was versus 100 Thieves, I think. I'm pretty sure. Oh, but man, that game actually just got me like hard, and like it just made me think of Phoenix in a different way. Like I couldn't look at him the same again. You know, like, ooh, that was rough for me. So I don't know. Like I think his builds are bad. Even like when I put him against Insanity, right? Like sure he outlaned Insanity, but then he's so like bad later on, and then I felt like the way that he decides his job in team fights is really awful. Like when you look at any good LeBlanc player, right? They're trying to look for angles. They're like looking for WRs onto the back line. Whereas like you look at his, and he's literally building Banshees, Morello, and then WRing into the tanks every time. It's like part of the reason why LeBlanc is so good is you get like more chance to pick your target. Like you're actually an assassin, and he plays it like he's playing Orianna or Azir, where he's trying to like burst down the front line. So I didn't like his play at all in that game, and I just feel like, you know, he's been around for a while too. I don't see him getting any better, really, like anytime soon. He still had the same problems that he's had like the entire time, and you know, even if he does do well in some lanes, I mean, the Azir didn't even look great when he got it into Jensen. You know, he dies to dumb ganks. You know, ganks that you should expect. Like you're playing into LeBlanc and Volibear, you should expect an early gank at some point. Like anytime you're playing against LeBlanc as Azir, you need to expect an early gank, and then. Also, just like the greed in his play just bothers me. Like not flashing, trying to E out when the LeBlanc's on top of him instead of just flash Eing to safety, like, or flash WEing obviously to safety. I don't know. I haven't been impressed by him, so I have Phoenix towards the bottom. And then Golden Glue I give credit to because I feel like he's been stable, and then like he did have a really good game versus Cloud9 a couple weeks ago. So that's why I have him above Pobelter, because Pobelter's just lost so many games in a row at this point. And yeah, I guess Demonte 5th is like what that leaves me with, which was kind of weird because, well, the thing is, like, I think that like Demonte and Golden Glue are both like 6th, 7th, like 8th. They're in that tier for me, but it's just like we lost a mid laner with Jizuke being out of here. So now they just all get bumped up by one. It's like we took one important Jizuke, threw him out, and then now we got Phoenix in, and I think Phoenix is worse than those players. So that's how I end up with this.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. That's how I felt with Demonte up there at 5. I was like, oh shit, I guess Tanner is top half of the league because he deserves it. He deserves it, and I think that was when you guys brought up your closer argument. I was like, well, Tanner's playing pretty well. Like he's playing pretty well and holding things together and making plays himself, along with closer to set him up and especially win that early game. But like. I think Demonte's had a pretty good split, and I was pretty critical of the move. And I think here it's like, hey, look, it's paying off. Golden Guardians got themselves a very good playoff spot, on track for the best in organizations franchise in terms of ranking. So, like, good move.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like the same move, right? It's like I have Demonte at 5, Golden Glue at 6. They're like the same fucking player to me. If you took off the nameplates and put one of them in, I wouldn't be able to guess probably. If they left lane like more than once, I'd probably say Demonte. That's about it. Like I think that they're like both serviceable, solid, middle of the pack mid laners. And I think that's really valuable in this league. Like I think that it's not like they're gonna automatically get shit on by the people above them, which I think means something. I think they deserve to have spots, and you just need to surround them with like really talented imports, and you can have a strong team.
Yeah, I think that the only thing about Pobelter that I would say is like the context that surrounds him though. He's on CLG, and we see how lost
Wiggly
they are.
is his jungler.
So Pobelter is sort of like on his island. I think Pobelter would be, if you remove him from CLG, it causes the biggest impact, like by far. I don't think that's really that arguable. I think his place right now is, yeah, like what you're saying. He's a serviceable middle of the pack, 5th, 6th best mid laner right now in LCS. But I could see Pobelter performing better than he is right now if he had better pieces around him. So
Sure.
I think in that regard, it's fine. Yeah. I mean, this list doesn't feature like Jizuke and other stuff like that. If it would, then I think that some of the bottom standing players would go even lower, which is definitely impressive. You know, like,
Wait, so LS, you're trying to make a top 10 list with Ryoma at 11? Like, what the fuck? Like,
dude, oh my god, 11, Dom, come on.
what, you want 15? Like, we got 10 spots on the list. How low do you want him to go? Right? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude.
Like, come on, he's not that bad, is he? He is, but yeah.
I think he would. He's like 11th or 12th, right? I think he's like 12th. If we had the full list, he's like 12th.
I mean, no, I would have him. Okay, he can be 12th, but he'd be above Ica on my list.
Yes. So
Ica would be last.
Right. Yeah, right. Ica would be last right now. I like him. You know, he's a nice guy, but yeah, it's not a good look.
So
not a good look.
You know, it's actually crazy because like I was thinking about who else would be on this list. We would have to talk about people that were like playing the split, right? So
Yeah.
Froggen
would be.
like,
Yeah.
Froggen, like, oh, I don't even know. Is he like Ryoma, Froggen, Ica? Like Froggen was not having a good split, right? Like they didn't win a game in the split.
He wasn't.
It's possible that Froggen is like even
11.
Like maybe
11,
No, he's not
12.
worse than Ryoma.
maybe he's like maybe he's 11 or 12.
He's okay. Damn,
Yeah.
I felt that stare through the screen.
What? No, he was having an awful. No. He was having an awful split. Like
shit.
even when he was getting his Orianna, he was still bad. So like it's rough. Like
Listen, if you need a new partner for the crackdown, let me, you know, like, I got you there too, you know. Like,
I've talked to Thorn about this. He thinks that this is like the worst split Froggen has had. Like up until this split, like last split, I thought he was like mediocre, but this split he was just bad, right? So
Yeah,
it
you
is
heard it
what
here
it is.
first.
I just call it like I say it.
Even Thorn's giving up on Froggen.
Yep.
I wanted
American Uniteds.
I wanted to look through here just a little bit through the last, I guess what we've had Facecheck now for 3 seasons, almost 4 seasons or something like that. So I wanted to look back at our old crappy paint tier list. Do you remember those? And we had
Holy shit.
we had all 4 members. So let me switch on over to the screen here. There we go.
It was 4 members.
Yeah, Zyrene was a part of it as well at that time.
Holy.
What happened?
Good throwback. He just didn't show up.
He wanted to move on to other adventures first, so that was fine. And so
Really?
yeah, he moved
Okay.
on. We had Bjergsen, Jensen,
Wow.
Niski, all
Yeah,
basically
the top, yeah.
still there. Crown, remember that guy? The fastest fall from grace. He was the 4th best, occupying that Power of Evil slot, and then Froggen was 5th.
You know the fucking the meme. You dropped this, and it's like holding your crown. Nah, he just fucking dropped it, dude. He just,
Oh.
that fucking thing. That went down Pennywise's fucking sewer. Like,
He dropped this king. Holy shit. Oh my god. It's just CLG and the hands are empty. Holy fuck. This is too
oh
much.
my god.
There it is.
Dude.
So
Yeah, see, look, I thought Froggen was pretty good. See, this is how I got on the crackdown. Wait, Loco had it there too. Damn, actually. Maybe,
all of you
maybe
guys
I'm in
did.
trouble.
I was the only one.
Oh,
I was
shit.
the only one that was
Oh,
like,
shit.
he's deteriorating.
Alright, fuck
Give me
that.
Ryu, dude.
Delete the VOD, Loco. Delete the VOD, LS. We can't have me and Loco in the same podcast.
Jesus.
I can't lose another podcast. Oh no.
Holy moly.
All right, so those are your mid lane tier lists after going down memory lane from last summer. That was last summer. In the spring split, it looked relatively close. The biggest difference was Power of Evil was up to number 2. I think we all had PoE 2 behind Jensen. I think that was...
Yeah, because look at how bad this CLG lineup is, right? It's like the same fucking lineup. It had Biofrost, and that's it, right? It's Biofrost, Power of Evil, and that's it. They had Wiggly, Stixay, Ruin. He was on that team, and they were getting top 4. That's how good Power of Evil was. That's why he deserves second right there. He was on this dog shit CLG team. He was played with those same guys, and he got top 4 somehow.
No.
That's why he deserves to be on the list.
Not that. It was last spring. So last split, we had him too. I'm pretty sure. I'm looking right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was.
But
He was
saying
playing
last
really
year,
well.
like.
But last year, that's why he was that high. Correct. That's why he was up there. We can look at this one right here real quick before we call it a day. Is it gonna load? Oh no, it's not gonna load. No one wants to know what we thought of him before. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he was number 2. It was Bjergsen, Niski. It was Niski, Power of Evil, Jensen, then Bjergsen. Was that what it was? I'm pulling it up. Come on, load. Computer's fried.
Number 1 for sure.
Yeah, we all had to have Niski number 1. It was Cloud9's Glory Days. There we go. We got it. All right. Monitor 2, POW. So it was Niski, Power of Evil, and then we were split on Bjergsen, Jensen, and then Jizuke 5, who's not on a spot right now, and then Frog and Pobelter, Golden Glue, all kind of occupying that spot with our boy Ica bringing up the rear. No Demonte there, who's currently sitting 5th where Jizuke was. So how times have changed.
Yep.
Man. And then people are trying to tell me that Ryan has improved this split and that I need to give him more credit. All right, man.
Yeah, but so have other players. So it's like, I don't.
Well, I mean, that's not everyone is improving all the time. That's like saying, like, Dom, you've improved since when you played at Worlds in season 2. It's like, yeah, well, like relative to the rest of the fucking region, I didn't. Like that doesn't fucking count for shit. Like everyone is improving all the time. Like that's just what it is. It's how you are relative to the people around you. It's if you're improving faster is when I consider you actually improving.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm always gonna go back to the beginning of this year when you had the opportunity to be the hero that Team Liquid needed. Instead, they turned to Schernfire and their spring split went to shit. You could have saved me. Honestly, you could have signed a new contract with TL and they would have paid you streamer bucks on a player contract, bro, for like 5 games, 6 games, however many weeks it was.
Yeah, true.
I mean, knowing how TL pays and knowing where I'm going, I'm pretty sure that I've made the right decision. That's all I'll say. That is all I'll say.
All right. Well, damn, that was a great episode. For those of you who were like, hey, why did we postpone it? It was originally going to be an hour. Like we only had like an hour to fit it in because of my filming and LS, working through his schedule with Korea and Dom being able to wake up. So it was only going to be an hour, but this ended up being great. So for all of you tuning in live, appreciate you, love you. Thank you for your support. For those of you that'll be watching on YouTube later or Spotify, because we have it on Spotify, so stop complaining about it and other platforms. Appreciate you guys too for tuning in. It'll be a little bit later because of our record date. For those of you sending in the DMs and sending me funny gifts, I've been responding to all of them. They've been really funny. Appreciate you guys. Dom, anything to say before we wrap it up?
No, I thought it was a really good episode. This one was, I think, the longest one we've done, but yeah, I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, LS, anything?
This one was good. I think this one was the best one that we've done as well. Yeah, I agree with that too.
Sweet.
We got to dive into a lot of stuff. There was good stuff to talk about because of stuff that's happened.
One thing I do want help from you guys, chat, and viewers, or help us with tweet of the week. Definitely when you see the spicy takes, send us tweet of the week. If it's not spicy or it's a terrible take, I will flame the shit out of you. So please don't waste my time, but do help us kind of curate some of the better ones there, and that'll give us an idea of what you want to see.
And if there's no good tweets, then we just won't do the fucking segment. So
there you go.
True.
It is what it is.
Kind of like what happened this week. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Next week, we'll know who's going to playoffs. We'll find out if CLG's collapse will be complete or will they survive for another week. And who's going to be up at the top and plus MVP voting, all that good stuff. So thank you guys for supporting. We appreciate you. We'll catch you later.